All right, for anyone out there who doesn't know my favorite teams for baseball and basketball, well, it's the Red Sox and the Rockets. Like kind of makes sense like that. Absolutely not. It's completely random. With that said, though, about a month ago, now that I think about it, not really. It's less than a month ago, but Red Sox made a horrible trade trading away their best hitter, Rafi Devers. We all know about that. But then a couple weeks later, or not a couple weeks later, a couple days later even. The Rockets got KD, so I'm not really trying to feel about this, but when you think about it, it's if there was one team, it's kind of like a win-win. But I'm kind of conflicted on that. I don't really know what to think about. Anyway, though, the other Los Angeles team, I'm a Rams fan. We're going through the other one today, so I guess that's good. They made the playoffs. Anyway, Chargers roster grades. Let's get this thing rolling. And with that, what is going on, guys? Welcome back to the NFL. Please like and subscribe if you guys enjoy the Los Angeles Chargers 2025 roster grades, the other team from Los Angeles that has not done anything close to what the Rams have done. But we'll be getting to the Rams later. First things first, though, again, it's the Chargers today. So, yeah, again, this team's got a pretty interesting situation going on right now. Again, this is a team coming out of the last 2023 season where they only won 5 games, and, Justin Herbert got hurt. They fired an idiot of head coach in... What was his name? Brandon Staley. Yeah, there we go. Jim Harbaugh came in, wrote the ship, literally, for them. And, again, they won 10 games, made the playoffs. We'll talk about what happened there in a minute. But, again, with that said, if you have not watched past roster grade videos, again, for teams, throughout this series, I do recommend watching or strongly encourage even, or from which the Titans roster grades, because I go in-depth on how this works. But for a very, very, very quick explanation in the nutshell and all that stuff, every single position has a different weight for points. So again, quarterback has more weight than running back, which makes sense. I tried to weigh them out somewhat fairly, but again, quarterback has 5 points, which basically means for every single level after a D minus, I give them it's that times whatever the grade level is times whatever the weight is. So let's say I gave a quarterback a C, that would be 5 times 5, which would be 25 points for quarterback. You'd put that there. That's the point value for quarterback. Add all that up for the do that same thing for every single position. You get the offensive overall grade, and then I have a range for each roster grade. I don't know why that's the way it is, but we're doing things here. But like I said, I don't Again, for the offense, you'll get a range, you'll get a point value. Point value, range, you find the corresponding thing, it goes in here, you put it there. All right, same thing for defense. Again, we have some other things we'll get to towards the end of this. And then again, after all that, we add up all those point values, offense, defense, this, and then you get a total point value, which will be found here. Once you get that, again, it corresponds to an overall grade. That's how you get it. Again, good things to know, if you get an F at any position, it is 0 points, which is really bad. And again, 234 points is average for this the sake of metrics. With that said, though, let's with all that said, let's get into what we actually want to hear. All right, again, for the Chargers, they do have Justin Herbert at quarterback. Again, there's nothing new about him. I mean, he's probably throws the best ball in football. I mean, there's no way around it. Again, his arm talent is generational. I think he has the best arm talent in football. Again, the other names you could throw around, maybe. No, the really only other guy you could throw around in terms of arm strength and all that is not even just Patrick Mahomes. I'd probably say Josh Allen, but I don't think Josh Allen has the consistency nor maybe the precision in terms of his accuracy as Justin Herbert, which by default kind of gives him it because yes, Josh Allen has a better arm than him, but at the same time, it's not really that big of a deal with those two guys because they're just so talented. With that said, though. Yes, Justin Herbert only threw 3 interceptions, 3 touchdown interception ratio, I think is the lowest we've seen since that Aaron Rodgers season where he threw 25-2. So yes, this is ridiculous. 3 interception seasons are about as rare as they come. So an amazing season from in terms of the prevent turnovers. Very an elite, one of the best seasons we've ever seen. That is good. But again, if you saw the offseason short yesterday, you would have saw that he threw 4 picks in the wild card against the Texans. He is now 0-2 in wild card games. Yes, the first one wasn't completely his fault when they again collapsed against the Jags back in 2023, I think. But yeah, he is 0-2 in the playoffs. Again, we look at Lamar Jackson. He was 0-2 to start his playoff career. That was a big issue. Again, he had to get that monkey off his back. We'll see. Again, Justin Herbert has to do the exact same thing, even though no one's talking about him like that. Again, Peyton Manning started 0-3. Again, he's great, but again, it's Peyton Manning. I don't think Justin Herbert's him. So yes, but the playoff struggles are real. But again, like I said, he has the best arm talent in football, so I really don't care. But still, yeah. he's got to do something in the playoffs. It's pretty simple. That's kind of what's keeping him out of that top top 4 conversation where there's just guys that are there. And he's just not because he hasn't done anything in the playoffs. With that said, though, Taylor Heinicke's a decent backup. He, again, has shown to be productive. I mean, in a way at times. Again, his arm talent and just overall, at NFL caliber physical tools, if this is going to ever load, they're not there. Again, I think we'll just go back to this. Last year, though, if I'm not mistaken, again, if this is just, it's not going to load. But, yeah, we're just going to wait on this, honestly. But, like I said, oh, God, this is just not good. Oh, my goodness. Yeah, there we go. All right, Taylor Heinicke. Is this going to load? Yeah, there we go. Taylor Heinicke last season didn't play at all. I was just trying to make sure my memory was right with the Chargers. Didn't play at all. Falcons in 2023, he started a couple games, got injured and stuff, and just wasn't awesome. But again, Commanders, like I said, he's been productive in the past. Started all of 2021, 2022 was a starter. So yes, he is a solid backup quarterback. If this again, like I said, we'll see if it loads. Trey Lance can't throw a football. He's the dumbest quarterback I've ever seen. I'm sorry, he is literally the worst. Biggest bust in NFL history. I don't care what you say about anyone else. He is literally the worst bust ever. Again, Niners got lucky. And then again, the Cowboys, he was so bad he couldn't even be their starting quarterback. DJ Uiagalelei, he is probably the worst quarterback I've ever seen. I'm sorry. Yes, Trey Lance is the worst, but TJ Uiagalelei is just 10 times worse than him. I talk so much about how Tim Boyle, it's impossible to say that he is there's no way around it. There's no way he should be in the NFL. DJ Uiagalelei, if he makes it out of the first training camp day, that would be a miracle in itself. With that said, though, yes, Justin Herbert's an A-caliber quarterback. Again, you could argue it's an A- because he sucked in the playoffs, but guys, don't even get confused. He's a top, talent-wise, he's a top 3 quarterback in football. There's no way around it. He's just that good. But still, the Chargers aren't really going to be worrying about quarterback. Again, yes, the playoff issues, that'll come up when we tier rank all the quarterbacks, but on an actual scale, guys, you wouldn't really want anyone else but Justin Herbert. That's all I got for that. Let's get in the skill positions. All right, now looking at the Chargers running back room, again, as we start looking at these skill positions, it's not a group that I'm I don't know, it's not really moving me. First things first, Najee Harris has started his career with 4 1,000-yard seasons. To begin it, again, he is, nothing's really come close to maybe the production he put up in 2021, where he had over 1,600 scrimmage yards. But again, that season he had 94 targets and 307 carries. But in the past 3 years, he's been somewhat productive in terms of, again, the yardage, getting over 1,000 yards. But guys, don't be screwed. Again, he still has brick feet. He's not a guy that you're going to, really be glossing over or anything like that. But again, he's a starting caliber back. Again, he's had 4,000-yard years. I don't really know many other guys who have been able to do that. So I would be shocked if he does it this year. We'll simply wait and see. Ryan Hampton is a lot more I wouldn't say adapt, but a lot more inclined to be playing over Najee Harris because he is fast. For a big guy, he can move. Also, again, he breaks tackles at a crazy clip. Solid pass, bro. Receiving-wise, neither one of these guys are the greatest, but again, he's pretty decent there as well. Very good vision. Ryan Hampton's just a guy who got to get at least 250 carries this year. Hassan Haskins has really not done much of anything ever since getting drafted by the Titans. What was it, the 3rd round? Back in 2022. Yeah, he's just done absolutely nothing. But, I guess he could be good. Kamani Valdes had that one big touchdown, kind of that one big game against the Broncos, and really hasn't done much since then. Again, that was in Week 7 of last year. He's a guy I think can do something. But in terms of, a tandem, pretty solid. I think I'll give them a B-ish at running back because I'm not the biggest fan of Najee Harris. Okay, so Ryan Hampton, he was my number, top 10, something like that on the board. Maybe not that high, but still. I like him, but at the same time, he'll be a rookie. I don't know, maybe he can probably, honestly, I'd say Ken Walker sort of production, not comparison by any means. But if he puts up those sort of numbers, I would not be surprised, especially with the yards after contact per attempt sort of stuff. But that's what I got there, B-. That'll be 9, 18, 21 points for running back. All right, looking at wide receiver. Ladd McConkey's a legit number 1 receiver. I don't really care what you say about that. He put up some pretty ridiculous numbers. He was their only answer in the playoffs. He creates a lot of separation. He runs routes with the best of them in the slot. Yeah, he's not going to be great against press. Yeah, he might not be your prototypical number 1 guy, but he does get the job done, and he's going to be their number 1 for a while. Mike Williams is back with the Chargers, except he's a lot worse now. Again, ever since he tore his ACL in Week 3 of 2023, he has just kind of been bad, to be honest with you guys. Again, 2022, he didn't have the greatest season, but he did mess around with injuries, so that was part of it as well after, again, a career 2021 season. He was bad with the Jets. He had that one touchdown with the Steelers, and that was about it. So, yeah, he definitely has some room for improvement. But, again, as a guy who I think could do something, we'll see. Again, him and Justin Herbert usually had a pretty good connection. But, at the end of the day, guys, he's not a great player anymore. Trey Harris is not a guy I'd be scared if he's your number 2 option. That's all I'll say. That's not because I don't think he's capable of being a decent player. But I don't know. I just didn't love what I saw completely from him last season at Ole Miss. But again, like I said, there are some good things with him. He's gonna provide, again, a guy who can really make plays over the middle, which is what Justin Herbert needs. And yeah, that is a big presence to have, but also he's got to be able to box out better than what we saw, because that is, again, he's got to use his game well. Quentin Johnson, yeah, he showed some things last year, a little better than we saw in 2023, but he still has not been good at all. Darius Davis is terrible. Again, as a wide receiver, again, as a returner, I don't really want to speak on that. Again, I think he's okay. They got a bunch of bums outside of that. I'm like, guys, these are legitimate bums. Look at these names. With that said, though, at receiver, I'm not really it doesn't look that good. I'll probably say a C plus-ish. Is this really that much better than last year? I don't think so. I think that might be being nice. I think a C plus is fair, though, because, again, Ladd McConkey's a legit one. Trey Harris, Mike Williams, and Quentin Johnson really aren't anything good. They're all probably all wide receiver 4s, but again, this is better than they had last year. What did I even give them last year, though? I think I'm like a D minus or something. So I think a C might be a little bit more realistic with that. But like at the same time, is it like really that? I think a C plus is fair. You know what? Because I'm gonna be a little nicer here. But like again, at the same time, again, I probably really dumped on him last year, or just gave him, I don't know, a D. So yeah. But again, it's better than last year. But like how much better is the real question? I think it's a lot, because considering they actually have a number 1 guy. With that said, though, trying to get through this. Tight end. Will Dissly's a decent player. I'm not really like too stoked about him being your starting guy. Again, he put up decent numbers last year, I guess. He's always been a guy who will be a solid blocker, decent in the flat, will break a tackle here and there, a yard to catch sort of thing. But you know, he's nothing to be too stoked about. Tyler Conklin's a really interesting guy, because last year with the Jets, he honestly really didn't have that great of a year, but he did have 4 touchdowns after a 2023 season where he had 0. He's actually been a guy that I think is kind of been underrated for a while now, because as a receiver, he really provides a lot of, again, sort of route versatility, because he can really get downfield when you need him to. At the same time, his blocking isn't the most desirable, and also he's only like really fit for a couple schemes. Orlando, again, because like talk about that route versatility, but he only works in some things. Orlando Gatson, again, former what is it called, Syracuse Orange there. He worked really well with Kyle McCord, but again, like I said, very, very, very specific scheme they ran there, and I don't know if that'll really work here, because he can't block, and I'm just not the biggest fan of him. But still, he can break tackles. We'll see how they use him. So interesting guys at tight end. Tucker Fisk will be probably a special team if I had to guess, and Scott Mylock is a decent blocker as a fullback. But at tight end, I'll probably give them a C plus as well. I mean, that might be a little bit on the lower side, but I think it is fair, because like Tyler Conklin's again good player, but like Will Dissly, I mean, again, it's a decent combo. Again, you want to give him B minus, that's fine, but I'm gonna stick with a C plus there. Let's look at the offensive line. All right, for the Chargers offensive line, Rashawn Slater is an elite tackle. Yeah, maybe he hasn't really, again, he had that 2021 season, a rookie, where you look great. 2022 injured. 2023 not great. Last year a lot better. I don't know if I'd call him really like, he's not like a top 3 or 4 tackle, but he's in that next year. He's just that good. I mean, his size and all that, and just again the fact that it's so rare to find a run blocker of that sort of, again, presence you see there. Again, it's like a tackle position. Again, it's huge. Branson Taylor, I'm gonna be honest with you guys, I've never heard of this guy. Like, absolutely never heard of it. Like, I watched a little bit of Pitt last year, but I'm gonna be honest, I probably watched like 10 snaps of this guy, like in depth. Yeah, but oof. We'll see what happens with him. Bradley Bozeman's a very average guard. Some people think he's decent. Some people, like, or a lot of people don't know who he is. But, again, he's a decent player. He played decently with the Ravens. Again, the reason I say decent is because on film there are some plays where, specifically when he faces against 3 techs, where he does do a decent job at gathering before, again, he really throws that first arm out. But at the same time, like, when he doesn't gather, it's kind of a mess. So the consistency definitely could get better. But he's been a guard, been here for a while, or not with the Chargers, but he's been around a while. Carson Barnhart, I think I've heard of this guy. I can't really tell you, though. I'll be honest with you. Zion Johnson played guard for a while. He's not a bad player, and he works. At center, though, that'll be interesting how it works. Honor James is not a great backup, but he does have starting experience. Mekhi Becton had his best season since his rookie year with the Eagles last year. He stayed healthy, again, partly because he was on such a good offensive line next to Lane Johnson. But again, at the same time, he played really great. He just didn't really get any penetration last year, and it consistently, especially against some of those bigger defensive tackles, he did a really good job at moving them around. Jamari Salyer is a really good depth piece, but at the same time, I don't think he's really consistent enough to really think that, again, he gets sustained blocks. At the same time, again, really solid backup because he has shown success at times, especially with the PFF grades. Joe Alt, great right tackle. He had a great rookie year. I mean, not an elite one, but again, who cares? He'll be there for like 15 years, for all we know. Trey Pipkins, they're not good. He's just not a good player. With that said, this O-line is really solid. I'll probably give them a B. Maybe higher, maybe lower. I don't really care. like, maybe you could give him a B+. I'm going to stick it at a B, though, because there's definitely some room for improvement here. Yeah, like, Bradley Bozeman, Zion Johnson aren't the greatest. Again, I love their tackle situation, but maybe give him a B+. I think, yeah, B+. We're going to stick with that. That's going to be 18 points, I think. And then when we look, again, after adding this up, what is that? 55, 21, 18, 12, 18. There we go. That's going to be 124 points for this offense, and that's going to put them in the B tier, which I think is fair. The biggest thing with this offense is the fact they didn't turn over the football last year, and again, we'll talk about their identity a little bit, but that is very big. But the thing is, again, like, their receiving options aren't the greatest. The running back room could be better. Again, I think Omar Hampton will be great, but we just don't know yet. And again, the O-line is very strong. Again, when you have a great a franchise quarterback, you should be in a good spot. So, yeah, the offense is in a decent spot. With that said, though, is that the same for the defense? Front seven time for this defense. Yeah, we're going to get through the D-line first. Deshaun Hand is just not, again, like, looking at him just overall, he's just not a very strong player. That's probably the best way I can put it. For 20, again, he had a really nice rookie season overall. He showed some really good dynamic skills in terms of, again, explosion off the line and just being able to really isolate, linemen and just basically, I wouldn't even say expose him. I just say, like, take him out of the play. But again, he got injured in 2019. There was some preseason stuff, like injuries with him. And then again, 2020, he was not good when he did play. And then again, it's really just kind of the injury throughout his career so far. Past years, though, the Dolphins, he was back in 2023. The past season, he earned himself another contract with the Chargers. Again, I think he's definitely a talented player, but again, just not really the strongest for, again, a guy, again, that isn't really going to be providing that much as a pass rusher. Justin Eboigbe from the Bama. He didn't really do much last year. He really didn't do much with Bama. He has some physical traits that you're going to really like, but I don't really know what else to tell you guys because he just doesn't really pop off the tape really at all. Tahir Charles, a solid nose tackle. He'll provide some penetration. Really just a guy out there to stop the run, though, at the end of the day. Jamari Caldwell is not the greatest. Again, you look at him at Oregon, he, again, showed some versatility as a guy who can play a 3-tech, but again, like I said, much more or less just a run defender. Adio Agmania, this is a guy that I really think could turn into something as a more than just a guy who's just going to simply, make a play here and there. He is atrocious as a pass rusher. I do understand that. He is just completely not developed that part of his game. But again, as you saw last year, he's just kind of tenacious against the run. And again, you're not moving him out of it. So like in terms of a gap scheme, as an offense, that's just not going to work. So that's what I'll say on him. Daquan Jones might be better for them though, because he does have some sort of power rush. But looking at this D-line overall, they have absolutely no contribution as a pass rush. But a group overall, I'll probably give them a C. I mean, it's not great, but none of those guys are like considered below average. I mean, maybe Deshaun Hand, but like he's probably the most talented out of these guys. I don't know. It's not the greatest D-line, but at the same time, like it's not terrible either. So I'll say 10 points for that. Then we look at the linebacking core. Dan Henley had a freaking crazy good season last year as a rookie. Or not even as a rookie. What am I talking about? As a second-year guy, he was, again, like I said, the biggest thing that I liked to Dan Henley coming out of Washington State. He was that one linebacker in that draft class where I'm like, he can cover. That's what I saw from him. Again, yeah, there were some good instincts. He could tackle decently, but I mean, again, any guy that I'm going to talk about at linebacker in the prospect rankings, which again you'll see next year for 2026, will be decent tacklers. Like I take the guys at that word. So yeah, maybe little issues there, but again, like I said, he can cover. Showed that last year. That's why he played so well. Partly at least. And again, he had a great season. Junior Colson, massive disappointment last season, to be honest with you guys. He just was not good at all. He looked lost. He had several plays where he was just completely left in the dry and zone coverage. I think that's partly, what's his name? How am I forgetting his name? This is bad. Yes, Jesse Minter. There we go. Jesse Minter, again, they were like the lowest scoring defense this entire year, so that is going to be. But Jesse Minter, I don't think really put Junior Colson in the best spot. Didn't play him right either. But again, with them losing, their starter was a Denzel Perryman, if I'm not mistaken. It kind of makes sense there. Anyway, though, or am I casual for that? Let's go to Chargers reference and figure this out, because I'm actually like bricking out right now. All right, no, we need 2024. There we go. All right, let's load that up and go to the defense. There we go. All right, tackles. It was Denzel Perryman. I'm not smoking. All right, anyway, Troy Dye is okay. Denzel Perriman's still here. I don't know what's going on. But yeah, Denzel Perriman was a starter last year. He wasn't very good. He's better than Junior Colson though. I don't know. He's old. He's been a decent player for a while. But yeah, he wasn't great last year. Delshon Phillips. Don't ask me why he's a linebacker. He's big. Maga is not good. I don't know where Troy Dye's going. I mean, the depth is definitely there, but like the starting group is just, again, Dan Henley's really good, but like how far is that going to go? And you, again, don't really have another proven starters. So again, I think that's kind of weird there, but I'm gonna be honest, I'll probably give them a B, C plus. I'll give them a B minus because Dan Henley really proved himself last year. So yeah, I think a B minus is fair. You know, that might be a little bit nice, maybe a little bit harsh, but again, they had a good enough depth for me, I think, to feel that there. All right, pass rush time. Off the edge, they still have Khalil Mack, which we'll get to in a second. Tuli Tuipulotu was great last year. He has like 4 moves he uses. None of them are exactly elite, but again, with the way he counters off of each of them, they're really good. The pressure rate went up at least, I think, a whole 2 points last year. And also, again, just on film, he looked a lot more confident, a lot more, again, really figured it out with his toolbox there. We'll see how it again develops this year. Kyle Kennard's a guy that I think also has a pretty decent toolbox. They really like these sort of guys. Problem with him is that his bull rush isn't really that effective right now, partly because he's not explosive enough off his line with his second step. But again, I think that'll develop pretty well because, again, he's just a really aggressive guy with violent hands. Watch out for him. Like I said, Khalil Mack, again, what is he now, 33, 34? He's old. That might be wrong. He might be like 36. Yeah, he's 34. Last season, maybe not as productive as you saw in 2023, where, again, he had his best year since 2018. But at the same time, I still think he did a decent job. Again, the pressure rate was still very high. And again, also the overall volume of pressures was there. But at the same time, like, against the run, he wasn't as dominant. Maybe didn't have those, like, monster games. But overall, guys, Khalil Mack's still a really good pass rusher. I don't know if he's an elite guy, per se, anymore. Again, like, we saw that resurgence last year. I think, again, more inconsistent with the production is something to talk about. Buddy Dupree's not good. Again, he's just kind of washed. Caleb Murphy, who cares about? Tremont Moore is brash. I'm interested to see what he can do because he's pretty explosive. Howland Goodry is really athletic, but like, how far is that going to take you? This pass rush is very interesting. The interior is not going to provide you anything, so that will hurt them. But I think I'll give them a B minus because there's some decent things going on with this group. Again, Tuli Tuipulotu, I don't know if he's a proven #1 guy, but I'm willing to take my chances as well with a guy like, again, Khalil Mack, who at least, especially last year, still proved to be decent, even though maybe you didn't, again, the production maybe not, again, accounting-wise, maybe wasn't where you want it to be. Anyway, though, time for the secondary. Arriving in the secondary, which has some guys that we simply, prior to the start of the season, could not have expected to play the way they did. First things first, though, we will get into Dante Jackson, who, again, was their new signee. With the Steelers last year, honestly, guys, probably his best year we've seen since maybe 2020. He's never really been a guy, despite, again, being one of the faster corners in football, that you'd really think was, like, that effective, to be honest with you guys, because in man coverage, you'd expect him to be very good, again, with some of his length displays, but, again, he really has never shown that. Again, he's older now. What is he, 29, I guess? But, again, he's always been a guy in zone coverage, though, that I think has just kind of been, like, not really utilized well. Last year was utilized a lot better. That's why he had 5 picks, but still, again, I don't think he's anything special here. Again, he's probably a starting caliber guy, but like, there's definitely better corners in the league to have. Again, decent signing overall. Cam Hart, the 5th-round pick last year, had a great rookie season. Very dynamic, very athletic is probably the best way to put it. And he just was really, like, the energy was great from him. Yeah, there were some games where he did get, I wouldn't even say burned. He just got completely, like, freaking burned. I'm not even burned. Flattened, to be honest with you guys. At the same time, like, it was a learning experience for him. Again, like, overall, great energy. Great play from him overall. Again, you got to be really happy with that. Tarheeb still, probably their best draft pick they've had in a while because, oh my God, he was just absolute monster in the slot, guys. Again, go watch Jake if you have the ability to watch some of Jaquan McMillan. I do recommend to do so. He is, again, no, my bad. Jaquan McMillan, 2023, if you're able to watch some of that, go watch it because that's what Tarheeb still is. Again, compare it with them. Very, very similar players, at least in those seasons from what I saw. But yeah. Great rookie season from him. Again, we saw the pick six and all that. Like, great. Deane Leonard is a guy that I think has potential to start because he has shown it at times. But again, like, he just hasn't been really good enough to be honest with you guys, and also has been on the field. Again, he does have, like, I'm going to say size. He just has, like, the build to be able to work with, again, being a starter, like, in terms of his man coverage abilities. But, like, how is that going to work out if he hasn't really been able to display it yet? Benjamin St. Juste has good size. The speed is just not really there, though. Again, like I said, he started for the Commanders a couple years. Really was never that great. But again, I think some of, like, again, his numbers in coverage were a little bit overblown. With that said, though, this cornerback might actually like a lot. It's not the greatest in the world, though. For that reason, I think I'll give them a B minus, especially again with the two rookies, Cam Hart from last year, sophomore guys, and Cam Hart and Terry Still. We'll see if there's some regression, but they were great last year. I think again, like I said, Dante Jackson's starting caliber guy. I don't really see why you can't come from that. They have okay depth. You can definitely work with that. It's gonna be 14 points. But then at safety, Derwin James was phenomenal last year. He was awful in 2023 on for his expectations on that note, or just really a down year. Again, like I said, you look at him overall, his career was probably the best rookie player in football in 2018. I mean, outside of Baker, obviously. But 2019, he got injured. 2021, he was good, I guess. Yeah. I mean, missed all of 2020 as well. That's good to mention. No, his best year has been 2020. His best year was 2021. 2022, a little worse. 2023 was not great in coverage. Last year, just as dynamic as we saw back in 2021. So, yes, he is an elite safety. Best safety in football for a lot of people. Maybe not right now, but in the past for sure. Tony Jefferson, he's a vet. Again, former Raven. He's a savvy guy. He's old, but again, he'll provide something for them. Alohi Gilman, I don't think it was anywhere close to the season we saw in 2023 where he really stepped up. Friggin' Derwin James, who wasn't having the same season, but he got injured last year. And in coverage, he did give some big plays. So again, that's a little bit of an issue. But again, a lot of teams didn't target him as much, so I think that's part of it as well. But still a really solid free safety. Elijah Molden has had his struggles. Again, the Chargers took him in the. Not the Chargers. The Titans took him in the third round a couple years ago. He was completely trashed with them. Last year, he had a good amount of starts, and he wasn't really that much better. But I guess better because, they worked him in. Justin Mitchell knew what he was doing there. Anyway, though, at safety, it's still really freaking good. I'll give them an A minus. The only issue is that, Alohi Gilman wasn't as good. So, maybe. Do I still give them that? I think I do because I don't really give safeties A much. Alohi Gilman's still a really solid player, though, right? He's got to be. This is going to load. There we go. Alohi Gilman. Come on. Let's load this. Yeah, there we go. Let's load this. All right. Alohi Gilman. Yeah, he wasn't great last year. That's what I thought. But still, he wasn't bad. So I don't know. Don't give him an A. I'm gonna bump it down to an A minus because he really wasn't good enough for me to give him, despite how good Derwin is. All right. It's gonna be 27, 30 points, and then when we add that up, it should be a pretty decent total. 28, 14, 30, 103 points to this defense. Again, it could have been worse. That's going to be, again, I don't know what's going on here. All right, what do we say? 103 points is going to be a C+, which is probably where they fit because they're actually not the most talented group in the world. But again, that really doesn't matter when we look at their identity, which we'll talk about right now. Gotcha. Before we talk about their identity, we got to talk about the special team. Digger, the kicker, probably the best kicker in football last year. Overall, going to look at it in terms of his range and stuff. He's a great kicker. J.K. Scott, solid punter. Darius Davis, I mean, I'm not the biggest fan of him, but again, he does okay as a returner. Josh Harris is a good long snapper. I don't know. This is a good special team unit. It used to be the worst in football, but I mean, it's a lot better now, so that's good. All right. Depth. Quarterback depth. I'd give that a C. Yeah, C. Running back depth, I'd give a B minus, so we're probably to C plus so far. C plus. Receiver, I'd give a D plus. That's probably even nice. Do I really give them a D plus? D. We're probably down to a C minus now. C minus. Tight end, I'd give a B. We're probably up to a C. O-line depth, I'd give a C. We're still at a C. No, that's definitely not true because they got some good depth. Let's say not a C. B-ish. B. Probably up to a C plus. C plus. D-line, I give a D plus, so we're probably down to a C. C grade for depth so far. Linebacker depth, I'm not really again, it's decent. I don't know. This is tough. C plus. Well, we'll say we're at a C plus. I mean, add the edge rushers in, which is probably a C plus ish. It's probably a C now that I think about it. So a C. Probably sitting at a C so far for the depth. Again, we look at safety. Deshaun Taylor, I didn't talk about him, but he's not very good. I give that a C plus. That's probably sitting. Okay, C plus. Safety depth, I'll give a B. We're gonna stay at a C plus. So yeah, the Chargers overall, they got some positions that are a little bit worrisome, but on an overall no, I mean, there's really no position that has any gaping holes. 24 points for depth. Identity, offensively, Justin Herbert can't turn over the football. And they got to run the ball pretty well. Again, I really like the identity they had last year because, I'm geeking out there. Despite Justin Herbert maybe not having the, numbers that we might have wanted to see, he has been really conservative. Was great with conservative, and that game kind of helped them out a lot. Defensively, they were great, but at the same time, I'd like to see them if they could be a little bit more dynamic than last year. So, again, that's definitely a stepping stone for them. But, again, probably one of the better identities in football. I'll give them an A- for that. That's been 15, 30, 45, 50 points for the identity. And now, yeah, let's see how that impacts the overall grade. And after that, 310 points is what the Chargers end up with. That's going to put them in the B+ tier. I don't know if I love that. I think is that fair? I think, you know what it is. The Chargers really don't have many holes. Again, the D-line isn't great. The receiver position could be better. Again, I think I was nice on that. The tight end position is okay. But overall, like I said, they don't really have too many holes. For that reason, I think a B+ is a fair grade for them. But again, on a good note, like, there's definitely better rosters in the league. But again, like I said, very solid overall. The identity really helps them out as well. With that said, though, that's all I have for the Los Angeles Chargers and their 2025 roster. We'll talk about more of them again when we get into the tier week, which will be happening right before the season starts. And with all that said, yeah, here's our next team. And it'll be very obvious because, again, this is kind of premiered for the next offseason short. That's all I got for you guys today, though.
Here's a first down and more. Flag on the play. Turpin is gone. Will it stand? For 64 yards and a score. This is an outstanding route by Kevontae Turpin. He gets Okudah completely turned around coming off the line. And with the safeties, the way that they were playing, there was just nobody in the middle of the field. He's going to come down here. He comes wide, and it